So her making these stage designs is so genius. Like it's genius. As would a vinyl when it's turning. It's not just like you think that it's one thing and then next thing you know you would look and see another thing. I don't know. I could just be delusional. I could just be delusional. This would be a lame country. Like, we really literally create everything. Okay, before we get into the video, I just want to tell y'all to go check out the link tree, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, YouTube, the email, and just look forward to more being added in the future. So, y'all, this is part 3 to the explaining the genius behind Beyonce's stage. Now, this just came to me while I was creating the last video, and it's crazy how every time I finish a video, another idea comes to me. But this is part 3. I didn't think that I was going to continue doing this as a series because I did part 1 and part 2 about 6 or 7 months ago. I didn't think I was going to keep this series going until I end up coming up with this theory, or not coming up with this theory, but getting inspiration for this theory from this video that I'm about to play. So I'm about to take it back to the old style and old way of me doing videos, and not the presentation. Well, I think the presentation style will also be included in this too, but not as much. So I didn't think that I was going to do another one of these explaining the stage video until Act 3, until we know what Act 3 stage is, and then I will tell y'all or look at it and try to figure out what it is then. But let's get into the video. So I seen this video, but I'm about to react to it and watch it again so y'all can understand where I'm going with this entire theory and how I came up with the inspiration for this theory. And hold on, wait, because let me see. This is his page who came up with this theory. And I'm just about to give my opinion on it and how I got my theory based off of what he shared with us.
Okay, Beehive, so I was telling my friend about this theory that I have for Act 3, and he said, you better go ahead and put that out there while you still have time to volunteer as tribute. So follow me on this. We're going to go back to Renaissance. Renaissance is all house music. And when you think about house music, where do you think you would typically experience house music? A club. And when you listen to Renaissance, it all flows from song to song, like a DJ set would flow from song to song. Now, Cowboy Carter, country music. When you think about country music, you would typically think about listening to it on a radio station. And when you listen to Cowboy Carter, it all sounds like a radio station. You have Willie Nelson on there who comes in and does like the interludes to introduce the next song. It all plays out. So she's giving us these albums in the format that you would typically experience these types of music in. Now, we're assuming that Act 3 is going to be rock. How do you think you would typically experience rock music? A rock concert. So my theory is, what if she got a stadium of people to all sign their life away with that NDA, leave the phones at the door, no recording devices, and she performed the album live to record it and put that out as Act 3 before ever having a studio album? When I tell you, that would go crazy, and I want to be in the room. B, I promise, you will not hear a peep from me. I won't say a word. They won't hear anything until they hear me on that album screaming at that concert. Oh, it would go so hard.
Okay, everything he said, I agree with, because I have said from what he said from the beginning as Renaissance being like club music. And I didn't think of the DJ thing. I didn't think of the DJ thing until he said it. Because in my head, when I listened to Renaissance and how Renaissance transitioned to the next song, I thought that that's how it was going to be. I thought that Renaissance was going to transition into Cowboy Carter like that, and then songs on Cowboy Carter would transition into the next one like that. And then at the end, she would put everything together. But I'm rethinking that now. But before I get to all of that, I just want to go and talk about how I feel like him saying DJ and how you would experience the music gave me a different outlook or perspective. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because of my original theory, when I originally did, it was either part 1 or part 2, when I talked about how Renaissance stage was multiple things. I'm about to get into that, but I just wanted y'all to hear his thing to ultimately understand where I'm coming from when I go into my thing. But before I say that, before I keep going, I just want to say it's crazy how his hat kept catching my attention. Like, it's a bee. That was kind of crazy when he was on that topic talking about that. But let me go to the comments and show y'all more. So right here, someone said the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live. Makes so much sense now. But in my opinion, the revolution has already been live because the tours are the live POV of the revolution. Like her doing that, what she did with Renaissance was like POV of the start, or it was, what can I say? It was like a, it's on the tip of my tongue. It was like a teaser towards the revolution. So like that was the start of announcing to us that the revolution will be coming. And I feel like the revolution is live when she does these concerts, when she does the tour. And I'm, like I said, I'm gonna get into that towards the end of this video when I get to explaining and putting everything together to put it in a better perspective so y'all can see it from my point of view. But not only that, if you look above this comment, someone said, "Hear me out, Act 1 club, Act 2 radio." I think it was radio station, Act 3 TV. So looking at that, I'm like, okay, wait, Act 1 club. I'm gonna get into why, how I figured out that it was like club, and how I figured out that what I think the original title of the Renaissance album would have been. I said it in one of those videos, and I'm gonna say it again when I get to it so I can actually show y'all what I mean and how I figured that out. But they said radio was radio. When I heard Cowboy Carter and really listened to it through, I'm like, this sound like an old style radio station, switching in between different segments, different music, and everything like that, like how a radio station would operate. And like I said, I will get more into that later. But once I click more comments, someone said I thought TV, and I think they was trying to say like MTV instead of a concert. And then someone else said major emphasis on the MTV. They said this is good instead of MTV BTV, which don't sound too far fetched. Like BTV sound good. So going down, because I don't, it won't let me scroll like any other way, but it's a BTV right here. And then they end up sharing this photo, which had me thinking. She said no visual awards, right? No visual awards. MTV was known for like music, television. I don't necessarily know the name. I don't know if that's specifically the name. I never really looked up the actual full name of MTV, but I feel like it had something to do like with music, because when we used to watch TV, they used to play different music videos going to the next. Now, me personally, this was a good theory. With this theory, this was a good theory. But me, I don't think MTV or anything to do with TV is coming on now. I feel like the message that she is pushing, or the revolution, was, for example, Kendrick doing the Super Bowl, him spreading that message. Bad Bunny doing the Super Bowl, him spreading that message. Beyonce doing her tour, her spreading the message through her tour, while also having Beyonce Bowl, like spreading. I feel like that's like the live revolution. But with Beyonce specifically, I feel like the acts, or not the acts, the tours is the live revolution leading up until the end, or not the end, the start of the revolution when it comes to Act 3. And I say this to say that if she does do a BTV like MTV, I feel like that will be at the end of, if Act 3 is the last act, that will be at the end of Act 3, and the visuals could possibly be Act 4, and that could be MTV, just like how we used to watch TV back then, and different music videos used to play on the TV. Like it'll transition to different music videos, and I feel like that's how the visuals will work. Like how different music videos will come up, and you will listen to music and watch the video at the same time while watching TV. Now, me, I know that personally because it'll be like in the middle of the night and they playing music and it switch between songs on the TV and you see the visuals at the same time. So that's how I feel like that's what that is. But I do not feel like, I was thinking and possibly thinking like, okay, Act 3 could be TV, but then I start thinking more like it doesn't make sense because the Beyonce Bowl was live, not Renaissance, Kendrick, the Super Bowl was live, and Bad Bunny was live. And it's like that's when the TV is on, when you're watching the revolution happen on TV live. But they are also saying turn the TV off. I'm not including Bad Bunny in that because I don't think he said anything with turning the TV off. But in the Super Bowl that Kendrick did, turn the TV off, turn the TV off. At the end of his performance, turn the TV off. Like, you seen it, now turn the TV off. It's not time to be watching TV. Then Beyonce watching all of the TVs while she was stuck in that room, and then she took the remote and turned the TV off. Or during the concert when she's sitting in that seat in the throne, and she sit there and she press it live. Like, she turns the TV off live while we're at the concert live. She's turning the TV off. She's using that remote and turning the TV TV off live. So if you turning the TV off in Act 2, why would you turn it back on in Act 3 when she's pushing the message that the revolution will be live? I don't think it's live TV, but the revolution will be live, as in person. Now, I do agree with him saying, like, I mean, I don't know about taking the phones or saying phones not allowed. I'm not sure about that. But I do agree and think that the revolution been live, as I said, but I feel like she's pushing it to where the revolution will actually come to life at the end of the trilogy. So I feel like when she said, well, I'm not even gonna bring that up because I gotta go into that. I always try to get in stuff. I get real passionate about this. And it might be a little sloppy at the end, but I was trying to hurry up and create all of this to get my point across. But I just got that part out of the way. So let's go into what I think about him saying DJ, him talking about the DJ. Okay, so I gave different variations of what I think that the Renaissance stage was within Act One or not Act One, within the first explaining the genius of the Beyonce stage, part one or two. I don't remember which one. I probably talked about both of them in both. I'm not sure. But I'm gonna get into. I added some of the stuff that I added from that video into this one too, so y'all can really get a better understanding from where I'm coming from. But if you look at this stage, so when I looked at the stage the first time, I'm like, okay, this could look like a lot of stuff. This could look like a lot of things. I never really thought about the theory that I just came up with. So he said DJ. He was like, okay, DJ. Now I thought of the club, but I never really actually thought of the concept of I thought of the concept of how the songs like would transition into the next one, but I never thought of the concept that she's doing this in a way or different ways music would be given to us, or I never thought of it in different ways to where we hear or listen to music. Like I never thought about that. That was never my theory. But I did say, okay, Club Renaissance. The theme of it was Club Renaissance. And like I said, I'm gonna go into that, but this I just had to show the stage, and then now I'm gonna show. So when he said DJ, like when he really went into DJ and the concept, like I said, I already knew the concept of how the songs change was like, okay, it's given like at the club, like not the songs was given at the club. To me, I was just thinking that everything was going to transition into the next. But when she did like the dancing, when they was dancing like the voguing during the actual concert, and then in I think the Tiffany ads or the Tiffany promo videos when they was dancing, it like they are in a club, and then the disco ball too gives in the club. All of that gave in the club. But let me tell y'all what I thought about and what's crazy. I don't know if anybody came up with this theory. I don't know, but this was kind of crazy to me, and I had to hurry up and put this stuff together so I can really come and do a video because I like to get stuff out before I forget about it. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, the first time I was coming up with different theories, like, okay, this stage could be this, this, this. We know it has alien things, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show that later on, but we know it was like alien based, everything like that. I was looking at this and I done said that this could have been like, it looks like it could be something related to the fingerprint. I said it was like a sound logo. I said it was different variations of everything, but I was also like, okay, it could be a representation of a spaceship too, like this circle, and then this could be like a representation of the bubble with that be at the top of a spaceship. And like I said, I'm gonna show y'all more of that later on in this video. And if y'all want to go watch part one and part two, then y'all will get where I'm coming from for the different variations of things that I've seen within the stage. But I looked at this and I'm like, hold on, DJ, and I'm gonna go into it. So let's go down. Okay, DJ. Okay, DJ. And then I put right here Club Renaissance. Oh no. I see I'm getting ahead of it. So I'm just gonna go right here and then I'm gonna go back down. So right here, something told me to look up how was music communicated. I just want to look this up so I could give it to y'all. I knew then, when he said it, I thought about it. But basically said how was music communicated to people in the clubs and the style and the way of how music transitioned to the next. It say DJs historically played music on vinyl records using turntables, decks, and mixers, a method still used today. Modern DJs commonly use CDJs or USB drives to play digital files. So, as technology got advanced, as well as DJ controllers paired with laptop softwares using a laptop. and basically they use the vinyl. So y'all know we have vinyls, and y'all know how a DJ would typically play the song within the club. Like I had to think about that. Like, dang, like you're not lying. But before Act Two came out, like I said, I was thinking that okay, every song within Renaissance transition. So that means this album is about to transition into Cowboy Carter, and Cowboy Carter is going to transition to the next song as well. That's how I was thinking at first until I actually listened to Cowboy Carter and actually heard how everything was transitioning to the next. And I'm like, dang, this sounds like an old style radio station. And then even when you look at Renaissance, like it's crazy when you look at Renaissance, the lyric videos, and I always say it's hints and clues in the within the lyric videos. It has that like the when the TV go out of signal or something, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like the black and white screen to where it's like the TV that's like not a existent channel or whatever that even pops up on one of the Renaissance lyric videos, and I'm like, dang, that gives TV. But then again, I didn't know. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't thinking nothing of it, but it did give that. And then you go into Renaissance and you hear how Renaissance transition, and then you think of an old style radio and how you go to the next channel and it make that fuzzy. I can't really explain the sound, but it's like that's funny, but it make that like it's a non-existent channel, so you have to go to the next one because it make that loud noise. So at the bottom it say mixer, a required component placed between players to blend and adjust volume. Oh no, I don't think that have anything to do with. Basically, they use turntables with vinyls, and it say the original old style method involving records and needles. Okay, y'all get that? Now let's go back to this. Now if y'all look at this right, and then we go and look at the vinyl. I said Club Renaissance was like the fans dancing on top of a vinyl. I didn't finish whatever that was right there. But if you look right here and then look right here, you see this? If you look at this and then you go back up and look at this, which was not there. I don't think it was like it wasn't on the stage. But if you look right here and see this on there, right? And then you look right here and see this on there, and then you look at the circle, and then you look at this circle, then you look at this little dot in the middle. We know this is right here because this was connecting her for her to actually be able to walk on the stage. But if she didn't have to put this right here, I probably don't think that it will be right there. But if you look right here and see this circle right here, it looks like this right here, or this, like as in the vinyl period right here. So my theory, where I said right here, I said this could possibly be a vinyl. Like this could possibly be a vinyl. That was the theory that I came up with based off of this outline right here. Like I said, we know this is not on the stage, but I'm not sure why they actually put this right here, but how they put it right here made me think of how you put this right here. And then, like I said, my theory was, and I pointed to everything right here on how it looked exactly the same. So my theory was when I said it seemed like when fans stand in here, it seemed like they're standing on top of the vinyl. And then we know that when you put this down right here, it makes the record play. But in the middle right here, where you actually have to put the vinyl on, is this circle. And this is where Beyonce would typically stand if she's not standing anywhere else around the stage. She would typically stand right here. So it's almost, and like I said, when you put the needle on there, it turns and play. And then when she's on stage, she don't play, but when she's on stage, she sings. When she go off a stage, it's off. When she comes on the stage, it's music being played. When you put the needle on here and turn the vinyl, the music plays. And I said that was like a genius idea. Now this could just be my perspective, but I don't know. So right here I said Club Renaissance. Oh no, this is the same thing. I just copied and pasted right here. Must have was trying to put something else right here. But yeah, so you look right here and all of this look the same. And this being like a representation of how music is played through like the clubs on a turntable back then, and how like they say how they still play it now, even though now they use a laptop, make their own mix and do stuff like that. But they would typically use that, and they'd be like, when they do the thing, they'd be like, and mixing it live. Like they mixing the music live. So this was just me breaking down everything that has to do with the turntable. Like this is typically what they do. They put a vinyl on top of there, then play it. And this was all of the different things that I just wanted to add. Like they said this was the needle or head shell, and then the cartridge. And they also say it's like the needle too as well. But yeah, that's it. So this could possibly be a vinyl. The circle could possibly be a vinyl. And then with the fans in here, it's like you're standing on the vinyl or filling in the vinyl, and then Beyonce is coming out right here, walking all around it, and she's performing the music as would a vinyl when it's turning. I don't know. I could just be delusional. I could just be delusional. Okay, so this is what I added from the last video. I noticed that this was Club Renaissance and it was also shaped into a giant C. So not only do I think that, or not only did I think that it was a vinyl, you also see in the outline of this them putting Club Renaissance and how Renaissance was one word, and I talked about this too. And Cowboy Carter is two words, and Renaissance represent Act One, and Cowboy Carter represent Act Two, and how I feel like Act Three will have three words as the title. And when they put Club Renaissance right here, I'm like, okay, hold on. And then that's when I did the outline of C. And that's why I'm like, okay, well, if Renaissance was supposed to be Act Two, it would have been named Club Renaissance. And this would have been making a whole C, which is why I probably take that back on her not adding this part, because if she wouldn't add this part, then you wouldn't be able to see the C. It would be a full circle with a small circle in between. I mean, in the middle. So, like, her adding this made it into a C. So I take what I said back because this actually made sense. So her making these stage designs is so genius. Like, it's genius because not only did I explain in those last two videos, which I will add at the end of this or add as tag at the top for it to pop up, or you can go and watch it, or you could just scroll down and watch the full video on the channel, both of them. And it's also a playlist too. But when I explained that these stages are multiple things, it's not just like you think that it's one thing, and then next thing you know, you would look and see another thing. So at first I was just saying, okay, I figured out it's a C, and then they in the middle around it. Like this also reminds me of the couch Solange made. The sofa, like that's crazy. But I think that was like S shape too. But that's sweet. It's crazy. It just made me think of that. But yeah, so just when you think you only see one thing, it turns into multiple things. Like she has multiple things that she created out of these stages. So let's keep going. I don't think it's nothing else. So that was the DJ part that I wanted to get out the way. So I also looked up something with house music. I should have put the question that I looked up so I can actually know what I was trying to get at. But house music originated in the early to mid 1980s in Chicago, evolving from disco decline, pioneered by DJs like Frankie Knuckles at the Warehouse Club. It blends disco with electronic drums, machines, and synthesizers to create a distinct four on the floor beat. By 1984 through 1986, it was a staple underground sound. And they just give you all the history behind it. And basically, the Warehouse was a nightclub. And then keep it going. It's a early 1980s scenes primarily created by black and queer DJs, including Ron Hardy and Larry Heard. House music was a response to the disco sucks backlash in the US as DJs began creating their own more mechanical and experimental music when new disco records became hard to find. Note to Grammys. Okay. Now, I just added this because I wanted to also show y'all how I feel like this is about to lead. This is about to lead into Act 3. So y'all see the stage, and I also talked about this in one of those videos too. So if that was a disco, or not a disco, if that was a vinyl, I also feel like that could be a representation of a disco ball too. If you look at the top, look at a disco ball from the top. I'm talking about the Renaissance stage. But if you look at this now, and you think about country music, when I first looked at this, I said, "Oh, this is a guitar. Like this is a guitar." But what I didn't get was this arrow. I was like, "This is like a diamond." I was saying all of this, like the way it's shaped, it also looks like a pyramid. I talked about all of this in that video, and I also said this is like an arrow. But then I looked at the whole thing, and I'm like, "This looks like a guitar. Like it looks like a star guitar." But I was also confused in the beginning because I'm like, "Dang, if she already did the star stage for Act Two, what would the stage for Act Three be if it's rock?" Because we know stars are typically related to rock and roll. Like that's what I was saying to myself at first. So that is why I personally don't know. I didn't even know what this stage was going to be. But that's why I personally can't sit here and guess and say what I feel like Act 3 stage will be. But I have a theory that it's going to be like either square or rectangle. I'm thinking square, but I'm thinking it's going to be something related to the shape of a square. And talked about it a little bit, but I really have to make a whole video on how I got that theory. It was really, and I think it was in those videos as well. It was really the PS or the PlayStation controller that really had me thinking from what Kendrick did at the Super Bowl. And like I said, I talked about that within the Kendrick and Beyonce video on this channel, and then I go more into the stages in those, explaining the genius stage behind Beyonce, explaining the genius behind the stages Beyonce created. So said all of that, it looked like a pyramid, it looked like a triangle, and we know that that was the triangle theme since she put the star connected to the screen, and that was a triangle, and then also a guitar. This is also the theory. I don't know if this is a true theory, but this is also the theory that I came up with, that it looked like a bow and arrow, and then I went to go look at the four horsemen, and I added it right here too. And when you look at the four horsemen, the white horse was using a bow and arrow, and also with my theory on Act 3 including a sword of some kind, but I'm not sure, but that's what I think. That's just what I think personally. But we know the white horse was related to Cowboy Carter, and then him having a bow and arrow, and then this looking like a bow and arrow. And I created this picture to show y'all an example of how I feel like this could have been a bow and arrow and a representation of a shooting star. So this is, I just added a few little details from the last video. But this was also my theory. I looked up the Renaissance, one of the Renaissance theaters. I think this is the Renaissance Theater. And an upcoming video that I will be recording, I will be talking about the red curtain theory. This was heard with the turning the TVs off, but I will be talking about the red curtain theory and how I feel like that plays a role when with this is theater and all of that. I'm gonna get into more of that within that video. But I looked at the top of the ceiling of the Renaissance Theater, and then notice the red curtains and how this is a theater, how they typically got red curtains. And I seen a circle, and I was like, this remind me of the Renaissance stage. So I was just coming up with different theories on what I felt like the Renaissance stage could relate to, since we know that Renaissance was also like a representation of Renaissance. Okay, so more research that I did when it came to Act Two stage. And remember, I said I thought that this would be like more of a rock stage, like a rock and roll stage. I thought this would be more of a rock and roll stage. Her doing the star really had me thinking like, dang, if she did the star within this era, what would the next era be? So I looked up which instruments was used back on country radio, the guitar or the banjo. And then it say the banjo was a staple of early country old times, but it say while the banjo provided a rustic sound, it was eventually joined by the guitar. So it was the banjo, but then we know she already did that circle thing for Renaissance, and the banjo is typically circle. So it was the banjo, but that's why she also showed love towards the banjo within the visual books or the picture books, art books. So then I put right here, what is the purple star guitar related to, basically, with the music? The purple star guitar is primarily associated with Prince and his iconic custom made guitar that often feature his gender blending symbol. This instrument is deeply tied to his artistic identity, specifically during the Purple Rain era, beyond symbolizing his unique blend of funk, rock, and soul. Okay, so look, let's look at his guitar. And I didn't notice this at first. See, I done did a whole video, two videos, part one and part two, about Prince, and I didn't notice that the end of his guitar had this arrow. So I'm thinking like, okay, did she intentionally do this to have like this be a hint towards rock, hint towards Act Three? Because look right here, triangle. We know the last stage was circle. They came within the middle of the circle. This is going in, it's a triangle, but an arrow as well, like how it is at the end of his guitar. Look, like an arrow, like, and then we know she did this look or these looks for the Halloween costume that year. So, like, was that stage like a hint towards rock? And she probably knew, like, okay, we could do the stage like this, but this will also be like, okay, they'd probably be thinking like, dang, she did the star stage. And like if you look at this stage, you would typically think like, okay, if she does rock within Act Three, you would think that she would use this stage for Act Three if it's rock, which we don't know yet. It's not confirmed. But you would think that she would use this stage for rock. But since we know what Act One stage was, and we know that Beyonce switched stuff up, I wonder if she did this intentionally to be like, okay, they are gonna look at this stage and be like, this, not think they would look at this stage and not think like, okay, this could be a hint towards Act Three. Like this could be a hint towards or telling us a symbol and telling us without telling us that Act Three will be rock. And then we just won't know what's going to happen with Act Three's actual stage and what it's going to be yet. Okay, before I keep going, I probably should have did this before I went to Act Two stage, but this is what we had seen. This is what we had seen when, with the Renaissance stage. So like the alien spaceship, alien, like this gives alien spaceship, this could possibly give alien spaceship. And yeah, this is just when we broke it down. The lights around it, like I was late because somebody commented told me that y'all already knew this, but I ain't gonna lie, I was late. That was this was way before I started to really even look into her stuff. Like I really wasn't paying attention to the stages until we got Act Two stage, and I'm like, hold on, this looks like something. I wasn't looking at that deep into it then, but yeah. So this is also where you could see it, how they have people, the people right here, and how they have like security right here. You can also see the sea right here too better, like see the sea more, see the sea, and how it looked like a spaceship from the top too as well. Almost like they are filling in the spaceship, like the fans that's in the sea is filling in the spaceship, but this is also like was a representation of Club Renaissance. And that's why I feel like Act Two, I mean, that's why I feel like Renaissance would have been titled Club Renaissance, especially if it was Act Two to represent two. But yeah, so let's keep going. So right here, I looked up what music is a star-shaped guitar related to, and it say a star-shaped guitar. Star-shaped guitars are primarily associated with heavy metal and hard rock. I want to stop right there because I said that I feel like Act Three's horse is going to be a metal horse, and then I looked at rock music. I was like, hold on, because I know that it's heavy metal rock, like metal rock, because I know that it's a such thing as heavy metal rock. And then she gave us that gold metal horse at the end of Cowboy Carter, the tour, and we know that a lot of the things that she do within the last era or towards the end of the last era is going into the next era. And that's ultimately what made me realize that Jay-Z could be coming not only for himself, but he could be coming something with something associated to her in Act Three because of what she did at the end of the Cowboy Carter tour and who she brung out. Her and Destiny's Child and her and him at the end of Cowboy Carter. And we know a lot of stuff she did in Renaissance. She did at the what she did at the end goes into Act Two. Okay, so let me keep going. So you say heavy metal and hard rock, and we know how Don't Hurt Yourself is the energy that's on that. So that's why I don't feel like it's too far fetched. And then if you look at the horses that she used already, the disco horse, the white grill horse, and then a metal horse, like it only makes sense. And then also the hint of how the Statue of Liberty is, and it's a metal, I think metal, copper color before it turned green statue that's like made out of metal. Okay, right here I say the star-shaped electric guitar, metal red, six-string, solid wood, and custom guitar, free shape. This is what I put right here so I could be able to look it up. I don't know why I read that, but it made me think of this. Y'all see it? Like you would typically think of rock and roll. And the reason why I added this picture was because this was somebody putting it up for sale or something like that. And then soon as I looked up like a star shaped guitar, this guitar popped up, but rock and roll popped up. So this is where I see, this is where I see more of the same guitar everywhere. So yeah, I just want to add that it said rock and roll. And then like I said, when you look at this stage, it would have made you think like it would make you think that she would use that stage within Act Three. But we know she switched it up. So what if she switched it up to give us a hint that Act Three will be rock and roll, and then do something different that we wouldn't think of for Act Three that also goes along with rock. I looked up right here, what is the main instrument of country music? The main instrument of country music is fundamentally the guitar, both acoustic and electric. Often, the main instrument of country music is fundamentally the guitar, both acoustic and electric, often accompanied by the fiddle. So they also gave more at the bottom right here, and it just said electric guitar, bass guitar, drums, vocals, and keyboards and synthesizers. So when I thought of, or when I looked up and thought of the guitar, I'm like, okay, we did see more of the guitar within Act Two. Like the guitar right here, her having a guitar right here, her having a guitar in other pictures too, I think within the art book. And yeah, so that's what made me think of that, and it made more sense on why she did the guitar stage. But then again, I didn't know because of the banjo, but yeah. So right here, I then looked up what instrument is widely used in rock music. Rock music is fundamentally defined by a core set of instruments, most notably the electric guitar, bass guitar, and drums. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop right there because right here, it made me think of her doing the drums or teasing the drums right here. Rock and roll. We know how they move their head back and forth, hitting the drums, you know, using a little thing to step on a thing. Other common instruments in rock music include the Hammond organ, pianos, and occasionally saxophones, harmonicas, and orchestral instruments. And then when they said saxophones, I'm like, have I seen Beyonce with a sax? Then we think about that T-Mobile commercial. Okay. All right, this part is almost over, but this is just me going over and things that I had to say about what I thought about the track list and how the songs are set up. So I said right here, Renaissance. Every song transition into the next one, which is like a mix of songs like what DJs in the club does, right? By playing a preview of the next song to get the crowd hyped for what's coming on next. Like you, when this mixing and transition to the next, it's like, okay, hold on. And that's what Beyonce did. And that's what Beyonce does when she performs these songs live. Like you know what's coming on. Or she would typically say the lyrics to or a reference to the next song. She could be singing the song and then she can go straight into diamonds on my neck, got diamonds on my records. And then we'll know what song is about to come on before it come on. And we know she does that. So right here, it say DJs in the club create seamless mixes by matching the tempo, BPM, and timing, phrasing of two songs, typically blending them over 16 to 32 beats by using headphones to align the next track before bringing it in, often swapping bass lines, EQing, and gradually fading out the current song while fading in the next one. Now I said right here, her doing Renaissance ultimately rewire my brain. Like every time I play a song from Renaissance, before it ends, I know what song is coming next. Even if I don't know the order of the songs by heart on the track list. When the preview comes on before it transition, I automatically start singing the next song before it comes on. If y'all get what I'm saying. Like it could just be the beat and I start singing the words. I do the same thing with Cowboy Carter, but not as much as I do with Renaissance because of how it's mixed. So I also said I also can't play a song from the middle of the album. This is a fun fact. I have to start the album from the beginning because of how the album is set up to transition. Just would make sense for me to skip a track. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably can relate to that because once you listen to, say, if I listen to I'm That Girl and then I just skip straight to Pure Honey, like that, it just, when you playing I'm That Girl, you think of the song that's coming next. So that's what I mean as far as like what I can't do. Like for some reason, that's how it's set up. It's set up perfectly. It's like it wired my brain to automatically know what comes next. And that's why everybody that be in the club get hyped when you go from one Beyonce song to another one. Or how they do the mixes on TikTok. Like how they mix the songs together on TikTok and they go to the next. You be like, oh, like this is a good playlist. Like how they got it played, they got it transition into you got the right songs transitioned. So then we go into Act Three's album or track list and you look at how it's set up as a radio station and I cut it because this is the way that I see it as to how everything gets set up in different sections. So first we have this section, American Requiem, then we have Blackbird, we know for black women, we know we have 16 Carriages, Beyonce expressing her feelings, we know we have Protector and My Rose, which is a representation or showing love to her twins, so Rumi and Sir, and then we have the Smoke Out with Willie Nelson, this Willie Nelson section with Beyonce, two of Beyonce songs on there. Then we go to Dolly Parton's section where she got Dolly P and then we have where she's talking on that, and then we go into Jolene. Then she has the song where she says how she likes her dad, how she's like her dad. And Jolene was also like a representation of her mom, so how she likes her dad, then representation of her mom, and then Spaghetti going into Spaghetti, the rap part, and then we got Alligator Tears, like the more emotional part, and then we have Smoke Hour 2, which bringing Willie Nelson back in, and we got the song, 2 Months Wanted. I forgot his name, Willie Jones within I think Just for Fun. Then we have Levi Jeans where we have Post Malone featured on Levi Jeans. Then we have Flamenco, and then that ultimately go to the Linda Martell show, and then we go into more of Beyonce's songs all the way up until Amen, almost like the end of a prayer for that section. So that was just mine. And I guess I could read down here, but it say back in the day, country music stations were structured around a mix of live, local talent, community focused segments, and sponsored variety shows. Particularly in the 1930s through the 1960s, stations, especially small local ones, often blended live performances with recorded music. And I say it right here now, going to Cowboy Carter. If you look at it and listen to the album, it's not set up how the Renaissance album is set up as a mix. But it's a mix, but it's the old style mix of not mixing the songs and having the songs transition to the next. It's mixing different songs while also having segments for different people on radio. Like if you hear the radio, I don't know what to use for example, but it's like one section to be for music, the next section you talking about celebrity drama, then they talk about okay, we're about to go into a song. Then the next section they have where they talking to people that call into the radio station like that. It's set up like different segments. But that was the end of this, so I'm about to go into the next thing. I be trying to say I don't want to make these videos long, but they end up being long anyway. We already at an hour. Okay, so I'm about to read off what I put together as a conclusion, as my conclusion, and this is all just a theory. It's all for fun. But this is my conclusion to what I think about every act and what's going on from what happened to what's coming to where we at now. I said, so my conclusion is that the trilogy could be time traveling, like her traveling through different timelines from past to present. And I already said this too. But if you listen to Amen and how the spaceship leaves and disappears out of thin air, that could have been her leaving the planet and then landing on the planet of the Renaissance era. Her moving the Renaissance album would prove this because she would have left Cowboy Carter to go to Renaissance. This was before she switched the order it was in. But I said I also talked about how I also talked about in the last video how she shared the Space Cowboy song to one of her Instagram posts, and the name Space Cowboy fits the aesthetic of both Renaissance and Cowboy Carter together. Another reason could be because she said she was going to put Cowboy Carter out first, but the pandemic happened. So basically, she knew what the world needed first, and that was to dance and be happy again after being in the house all that time and going through all of that, all of the stuff that was going on within that time. And then she said, but I had to trust God's timing, which to me was genius timing. If you look at the shift Renaissance made, it felt like a transition back into normalcy. Then the timing of when Cowboy Carter came was also perfect because of the way America is being run right now, especially with the shift in politics and how America has always treated black and brown people, which is why Cowboy Carter was an important message to push. Is what I'm basically trying to say within that regard, and not only just in music, but also like and being treated overall. Because even in Yaya, Beyonce say her house being burnt down and insurance not gonna pay no Fannie Mae. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like different statements within the music is also, but overall, the point of it is to use it in her artistic way within music as well, like past stuff that happened within music as well back then, to where our genres was snatched or watered down. Okay, next I said another great example is Bad Bunny and his Super Bowl performance, and I talked about this, where he used his power and influence to speak for immigrants and their rights. It's like it was a cultural shift, like in the time of when Beyonce and Kendrick did they stuff, it was like, okay, that was a representation of black people. And then in the time of when Bad Bunny did his stuff, it was a representation of what they doing with ICE and, bringing ICE out to get rid of immigrants or in the time where they want to deport immigrants. But yeah, so and it, okay, to keep going, it only makes sense. And that made me think back to Nina Simone's statement when she said art should reflect the times, right? I'm gonna get into that and play the video at the end. Beyonce, who is one of the most influential black women in the industry, made one decision to shift the albums around, and for them to automatically make sense and match the present time shows that she's a natural born leader within her craft. She took the creative risk and it worked out perfectly. It gives her art or any artist's art an even deeper meaning because it happens within a time where it is or was needed. As for Act 3, we can only speculate, but we really won't know until we're in the present moment. And that's also what I think she's trying to do with the music. Let us live in the present time of the music versus live in the present time of both the music and the visuals. So, with that, I feel like if we get visuals, we would then get to live in the present time of the visuals too. A perfect example of this is the interlude of her going from past to present. I'm about to play that real quick. Like, look, it's going from when she's young to a teenager to adult, slowly going up. Like, this was her. Like, I was sad at first. I ain't gonna lie. When I first seen this, because I was thinking like, oh yeah, she's definitely about to retire. But then I started looking at it like, hold on, because she's doing past the present, and she even said this within her speech at the Kamala rally in Houston, and she said, "Where our past meets our present in the middle." I should have played that audio. And y'all see that was like that last part. Like this was now. These are pictures from the visuals. Like these. So basically, she was showing us the future, and this is how I knew that it was past to present to the future. Look, hold on. Let me see if it's gonna show. Nope. Hold on. Wait, where was it at? I just seen it. See, look, she took us through. This was the this was homecoming, right? Then we going. Then we went through her other eras, and then it's the Renaissance era. The visuals from the Renaissance era, going through Renaissance. Then the Grammys to Renaissance. Then now this Cowboy Carter, the Cowboy Carter era. The pictures from Cowboy Carter. And I didn't catch it, but it was one where she had the Grammy. It was like her. I caught it one time, but I didn't catch it again. It was one where she was at the Grammys for last year. That was her at the Grammys for last year, but I didn't catch it again. I'm sick I didn't catch it again. And then that was ultimately the end where she stopped at Cowboy Carter visuals. But let me play the audio this time. I just want to add something before I play this because this also proves my point in the Bad Bunny video where I said her whole goal and the superpower video when I said her whole goal is for us not to be divided. Now she about to say it.
A world where we're not divided. Our past, our present, our future merge to meet us here. Imagine our daughters growing up.
Mm, mm. Past, present, future to meet us here, which was exactly what she did with this interlude, where she had to go from the past to the present. I mean, she had to go from the past, present, and the only thing she didn't include is the future. Well, she did kind of include the future because it was within that Cowboy Carter era, but that was still like the present time. But that was visuals she had already did. So the future would technically be if she would have added visuals from Act 3 within that whole thing. Then that would have been past, present, and then visuals we haven't seen. So that would be technically visuals in the present, but would have been a representation of what we haven't had or what we haven't got yet, which would have been the future for us that haven't seen it. But it really would have been the past of what she already did. It's confusing, but that's what I give for this. That's what I get from this. Let me keep going. But what I get from that though is really her just saying like basically if you put all of that together, that's literally present. That's literally present time. Like that's really in the moment. Like live in the moment. That's really what it sounds to me. Cause past, present, future. They say that the past don't exist anymore since it's gone. The future is non-existent since we're not there. So the only thing you can say is you live in the present moment. I'm not sure. Everybody have different perspectives. But let me keep reading. Okay, so I said I'm gonna play the Nina Simone thing at the end, where her quote at the end, or what she said at the end. Hold on. So let me continue reading. So I said, if we look at the history of Beyonce, we can all agree that she switches things up with her art. If you look back at self-titled, she dropped the visuals and the music. It's all on the same day. Then with Lena, I was about to say Renaissance. Then with Lemonade, it was the same thing, and also with Black is King. So with this being an even bigger project, and with a lot of the Hive agreeing that Black is King and its visuals weren't appreciated enough, it shows that Beyonce is changing history once again with how albums are released. We know I already spoke on her, and everybody has already spoken on her changing how albums is released and it is put out on Friday. But getting visuals, even if it's just one or two music videos for an album rollout, is normal in the music industry. And that's just example because some people put out more, some people put out less, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But getting none is not. And I truly feel like Beyonce is making another statement by letting us live in the moment of the music and the history behind it and studying like how I'm doing right now. Then making the tour and the visuals where we live in the moment of the music at the concerts. Just like the comment under that TikTok said the revolution will not be televised, the revolution will be live. That makes even more sense going into Act 3 because it could be the live version of this trilogy. In my opinion, that's why we're the visuals. That's why she said you are the visuals because she want us to live in the present moment of what she's doing right now. But whatever she has up her sleeve, I know is going to be big. I feel like her definition of us being the visuals also is us being at the live concert, mind you, and how she makes the documentaries and have all the fans in the documentaries were the visuals within that. And like I said, being at the concert, period, it's like, okay, y'all the visuals. Like, y'all are the visuals. But yeah, so I'm about to play the Nina Simone clip so y'all can hear what I mean when I end up saying all of this. Like, I'm not knocking that Act 3 could be potentially television or MTV related or anything like that because we know within them Halloween costumes she was giving us clues. But I just feel like her saying we are the visuals is us living in the moment of being the visuals. And I also feel like that's why she took the Beyonce Bowl footage down too as well because it's like, okay, I gave y'all the Renaissance film in theaters and then that was it. And then I gave y'all the Beyonce Bowl on Netflix. And then now you won't see that again either because she wants you to focus on the music and not go back and keep looking at the performances. Because truth be told, we haven't got Cowboy Carter, the visuals for the Cowboy Carter tour at all. Even though we got Renaissance, she gave us that little bit in theaters and then said, nope, no more. Then she gave us a little bit of the Beyonce Bowl, sprinkle of that, no more, took it back. And then nothing for Cowboy Carter. And I feel like I want y'all to listen to the music. And I did give y'all a little bit, but no, go back to the music, go back to researching, go back to studying the history behind all of this. And maybe I will give y'all everything at the end. That's just alleged. I don't know. That's my theory. I'm not sure. But whatever is going to come after Act 3 is going to be big. I don't feel like she recorded everything, did everything for nothing. But then again, we don't know. We don't know. But let me go to the video.
An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to. That to me is the definition of an artist.
I ain't gonna lie, she just made me think of something. Like America would actually be boring. It would be boring if America didn't have black people. Like it would be this would be a lame country. Like we really literally create everything. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video and my perspective of what I think. Everything that I said in this video and everything that I always say in all of my videos is that these are theories, these are alleged. I don't know. And even if I did, I wouldn't say nothing. I wouldn't even be saying I wouldn't even have this channel, but I wouldn't say nothing. I ain't gonna lie. Probably wouldn't even be doing this if I signed the NDA. So y'all know this is just all my theories and it's alleged. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what Beyonce is gonna do, but it's fun to theorize and then end up seeing her do the opposite of whatever you done said. Can blow your mind either way. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video and until the next one. Okay, this was just something that I wanted to add that I noticed or found after recording this video, well, recording the first part of this video, but I end up figuring out that or noticing, and if y'all know what I'm talking about as far as going back to those comments where they said that they feel like Beyonce would turn MTV into BTV, I'm not sure if that will be for the visuals, as in like music videos on how they used to do on MTV or everything like that, or back on when they used to play music videos and it would transition to the next. I think that was the theory that they was trying to come up with. But I end up later finding out or figuring out that she performed Don't Hurt Yourself right here at the VMAs, which is also I think connected to MTV. And we know Don't Hurt Yourself was a diss towards Jay-Z. She performed Don't Hurt Yourself primarily during the Formation World Tour, starting in April of 2016. Y'all see that April pattern again in Miami. And it say the 2016 MTV Video Music Awards and on the Run 2 with Jay-Z in 2018. So it was like, and this is what I was thinking about too. I'm glad that they added that because I was thinking about like, okay, she did this or did it on their tour that they did together. But then I'm thinking like, will it be something that's like, it's really hard for me to explain. But I was thinking like, okay, since she did a diss tourism for the Lemonade album, then she performed the song on the same tour as him, which is when they got back together. Will something that comes along with Act 3 be something with her collaborating with him to like move with the times? Like, okay, I wasn't messing with him when I recorded Don't Hurt Yourself. Allegedly, I'm not sure, but yeah, we wasn't cool when I recorded Don't Hurt Yourself. And then we end up there working on ourselves and working on our relationship and come together and perform at the On the Run 2 tour together. Well, I don't know if they performed together, but I'm pretty sure she probably performed it herself. I didn't really do that deep of research. Forgot about that. She did it at Coachella. No, she did it at Coachella by herself, and I'm guessing she did it at On the Run 2 by herself as well, just like she did it at the MTV Awards. I mean, the VMAs on the MTV channel or on the MTV station. It was like, okay, now we come together and make a song in honor of us reuniting. That's just my theory that I came up with because I didn't notice that she did perform Don't Hurt Yourself on MTV. And then that theory that we had in this video, the theories that Hive had really aligned on top of her doing that photo shoot during Halloween of 2024. It all would make sense if she is doing it. Turn it into the BTV or turn it into a BTV and then putting all the visuals together to make it one whole channel. I don't know. That's just something that I had to add because I ended up finding it. But yeah.